This is Life's a Pitch TV. Main sponsor, DPS Tech. Also supported by Lackens, All About Hearing, Forward Floors, Ginger Pickle, Fred Olsen Logistics, The Dove, Segford Golf Club, Ashford Wright, John Keeble Cars, Venue 16, The Hudson Group, Come Hither Design, Sound 4 Pro Audio, and Suffolk Sound. Our charities this year, Cancer Support Suffolk and the Ipswich Town Community Foundation.
Brilliant. That's half the show filled. Fantastic. Welcome along to the DPS Tech Arena. I'm your host for Life's Pitch TV. My name's Mark Murphy. Let me introduce you to the team. It's Terry Butcher. It's Russell Osman. And it's Luke Chambers. Big cheer also, please, if you wouldn't mind. On technicals, we've got Richard, we've got John, we've got Josh, we've got Finn, and we've got Mark, everybody down the front here, making it all work. And we've got Sarah and Leslie, who are our floor managers, geeing you all up and firing you all up. And you are our capacity crowd, and I think without a doubt the biggest and noisiest crowd that we have had all season. So thank you very much for joining us for the show tonight. We do have lots of people here tonight in the Churchman stand, sponsored by John Keeble Cars, and in the North stand, sponsored by Ashford Wright. Come on, the stands! Fantastic, brilliant. We're on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And also, if you listen on podcast, we would love you to tell all your friends. And you can hear us on Suffolk Sound on Saturday lunchtimes as well. Now, joining us tonight, we've got three of the all-time greats of Ipswich Town joining us for this show. Would you please give a massive round of applause? It's the FA Cup this weekend. To the man who scored the goal, Roger Osborne. Come and join us, Roger. Welcome, Roger. Great to see you. Also, from that same team that won the FA Cup, it's Johnny Walk! And we are absolutely thrilled to welcome him along tonight. Would you give a big, massive round of applause to another member of that team, not only a player, but a fantastic manager. We love him to bits, everybody. George Burley! All three of them thought they were just coming for a quiet night out. You think I'm joking. George, can we start with you? Because you're looking very, very well. You've been in the press this week. Tell us how you're doing, because you've had a rough year, haven't you? How are you feeling now, and how's it going?
Yeah, it's been a tough year or so, to say the least. And but thankfully, I had my scan 2 weeks ago, and I got the all clear. So.
Yes. Well done, mate.
I think with anything, there's always somebody worse off than yourself, but you're just glad to get through it, and then you've got to move on. So that's in the past. I'm looking forward to a nice holiday next week.
Fantastic, excellent. And you've been on the golf course as well?
Yes, I've been at Hintlesham the last 2 Mondays. It hasn't improved my golf, mind you, so I'll need to start from scratch. And Russell's almost scratch anyway, so I'm back into activity, getting to the gym, getting a bit of golf, and I haven't missed many of the games, to be fair, so that's been good. So I've tried to live as normal as you can, but I appreciate different things in life, and your family and everything is so important. So I'm just enjoying life again, and looking forward to getting a bit of sunshine.
You're a very fit man. You've always been very fit. Do you think, George, that's helped you in this battle that you've had, your fitness?
Well, it hasn't hindered me. So I think with anything, everybody's different, and every type of cancer is different, and the chemo is a different thing, and you appreciate life more, I think, and that's because you take one day at a time, and you try and be as positive as you can, especially when the family's about. So that's what I've tried to do, and hopefully I had the right people that looked after me, and getting to games and getting a little bit of golf, and you've got to sort of look positive. And I've got a lot of friends here, a lot of friends I've known for years, and 78 cup final. I remember that. I got married that year, so I better not forget that one. But she wouldn't come out tonight. So I think life's for living. I'm glad I've went through a rough patch, but I'm really enjoying for the next few weeks and the next few years, and hopefully a long time more.
And Russ, you're the demon on the golf course. It's good to have him back fit and well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to see George looking as well as he is. But I think George's secret is his attitude. From day one, you always spoke very positively about how you were feeling, George, and you just got on with it. Your mental application to the problem was top class, and I think that's something that a lot of people can learn from. Just having that positive attitude goes a long way.
As well, George, with the injury that you had all those years ago at Shrewsbury in the Cup, there's a huge setback, and you were one of the first to receive one of these new operations as well for your knee. But you fought well then, didn't you? When you had the bad news then that your cruciate was gone, and you did well to come back from that as well. But did that help you in your process? Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt my family, my wife was very much a key one, because if she says jump, I've got to jump, And I remember coming back in the car, and Mr. Dandy said, well, I don't think you ever play football again, but I will get you there. And she said, no, you won't. You'll be back on the field. And that gave me a great inspiration to go. But I think you waking up in the morning, you think, am I going to be positive or am I going to be negative? And I'm one of these people, I'm positive, and I've always tried to be that way, no matter what, because there are always somebody worse off than yourself, and you've got to be right. Like even we're talking with, morning down the club talking to people and it's very important that belief and that energy has got to come out with you. Like when you're playing football, you have a bad game, or you're a manager, you've lost an important game, you've got to be positive attitude. So that type in sport, keep yourself fit, but the mental side is hard, and when you've been beaten 9-0 with Man United, it's got to be really hard. Or you win the FA Cup, so you've got to try and be an even keel, and I've been very fortunate with all the people that have helped me, the specialists, the nurses, my family, everybody around here, walking the dog in the park, every morning, people coming up, say, well, I had cancer 3-4 years ago and I went over it. You think, well, if you can do it, I can do it as well. So everybody involved in the Ipswich community, because that's where I've lived most of my life, and but moved back here after my football days for the last 11 years. I'm one of yous, because I've hardly been away from the place, even though, as Walkie will tell you, I hadn't a clue where it was to start with.
Walkie, what's it like to see George so fit and well?
Brilliant. He's a winner, you know what I mean? He always will be as a player and a manager. Fantastic. been talking about that 9-0, what you just said. I retired after that game. You know what I mean? You know,
You tried to say you weren't fit before you started. Well, I should have known after 5 minutes you weren't fit.
I'm never, yeah. And I actually thought I had a decent game. I was marking Andy Cole. He scored 5.
I think you could have done better on the 3rd, 4th, the 6th. And the 8th, you weren't hot there, were you?
Yeah,
you know,
I was nearly 40, wasn't I? I had to call it a day.
And Roger, what about you, seeing George up and about so well?
Absolutely brilliant. You know, I mean, to be that young, to have a serious illness like that, you know, I mean, you know, it's crazy really. And you think, you know, everybody was hoping that, you know, seeing George when he first was ill, it was terrible really, because he looked awful, to be fair. And to actually think that he's come through it is absolutely brilliant. You know, I mean, basically that's all I can say really. I mean, just brilliant.
Yeah, and Chamber, you're one for positive attitudes, aren't you, with your running group and things like that, and having that positive attitude?
Well, he just explained to everyone why he is as healthy and well as he is today. Just that mindset is massive. I know George really well. I know his daughter well, his grandkids, and I see them every day and what they've all had to go through, especially with their dad being away down in Bristol. So just incredible for, I think you mentioned the Ipswich community. I think it's a real special place. And when everyone is on the same page, as we've seen with the football and everything, special things can be achieved, and it's testament to George himself, really.
Fantastic. Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Brilliant. We'll look at Town in a moment or two, but it's the FA Cup final this weekend, and I was listening to a well-known radio station today, and one of the presenters hadn't got a clue who was in the FA Cup final. It hasn't got the same kind of cachet that it had when I was growing up and when you boys won it. What are your memories of that season, Walkie, and memories of Wembley?
I don't remember the season very good, personally. You know, the cup fit, because I had a few injuries, blah, 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 but the final was the best ever, and it's always been the best for me because it was the first, you know, and you go and play Arsenal, big favourites, and we battered them, in my opinion. You know, we hit the post, hit the woodwork 3 times, I hit the post twice, Paul hits the crossbar, even George got up to, even George had a good header. That shows you how, you know what I mean? That's the first time he's ever done it in his life. You know what I mean? And then Roger comes in with the winner. And it was just a great weekend, and it's something you never forget. You know, the fans were fantastic, and we had a great time, you know, on and off the pitch, which was great.
Roger, how many attempts on goal did you have?
2 actually.
Yeah, 2, all right.
Yeah, the first one was when Woodsy, I called for the ball on the edge of the area. Woodsy passed it to me, I scuffed it completely, and then Paul Maron hit the bar with it. So that took all the pressure away from me, the fact that I scuffed it in the first place. But
so you had a 50% success rate?
well,
Walkie's was about 1%, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Walkie, I mean, I couldn't understand it. I mean, why wouldn't you just bend it inside the post? I mean...
I've never hit 2 better shots than that in my life. You know what I mean? I just couldn't believe they weren't in. And as I say, my family were all at the game, blah, 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 and afterwards I go out and see them. And as I walk out, they're all grumpy and miserable. I says, what's wrong? He says, we had a tenner on you at 20-1 to score the first goal. Why didn't you score? And I went, they didn't speak to me for about a month.
George, what are your memories of that day?
Well, great, really. When the build-up to it, I remember the semi-final at Highbury was a fantastic game, and then we come off the pitch and everybody, was so, delighted to get to the final, and all the way back that day. If anybody came back from it, the whole bridges were all blue and white, and everybody was singing and cheering, and for that whole month, every shop in Ipswich, had blue and white colours all over it. Well, that's when we had shops in Ipswich, and they were all blue and white, and everybody was celebrating, everybody was after tickets and wanted to go to the game. So that memory, the build-up was so special, You know, the game was great, as you say. We battered them 1-0, and I don't know how more we should have scored, but we were deservedly winners. But the build up for the whole community, I'll never forget.
And you were in the squads. I mean, you played in every game apart from the semi-final and the final. And you were with the squad as well, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a great day. I was lucky to be in amongst the squad, but in those days only one sub. So Mickey Lambert got the call to wear the number 12 shirt, and quite rightly so, because Alan Hunter, Kevin Beattie both passed a fitness test in the morning. So if either of them got injured during the game, then Walkie probably would have slipped into the centre-half slot, and Mickey Lambert would come on as he did for Roger later on. And Mickey Lambert could play left side, right side, full in midfield, and Walkie could play left side, right side, centre-half.
Well, that was typical Mickey Lambert, wasn't it? It was his testimonial year as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it must have slipped Bobby Robson a few quid.
Yeah. Well, it had to be a lot of money, but it's Bobby Robson, I'll tell you. But I also after because I think it was on the Monday, Lammy's testimonial.
Monday
Was it Monday? And then we played Wolves on the Tuesday. That was my home debut as well. And everybody that I played alongside was drunk. We lost 2-1. But thanks, lads. Anyway, that was a great day. Yeah?
That's not a bad scoreline, that, considering.
Chamber, do you think the FA Cup's got the same kind of feel as it used to have when you were growing up?
Probably not, no. Which is a shame. But then again, you got Palace now in the final, which is away from the norm. Shows you that those clubs are probably taking that one a bit more seriously and giving people that opportunity. But yeah, you're used to seeing the top teams in the league of the season that's been passed that end up playing there. But yeah, it's definitely something that has lost a little bit of an edge. And the way the squads rotate now in the other cup, the Carabao Cup as well. It's both of those competitions for me. I think now teams are trying to get 5 into Champions League, etc. That focus remains there because of the financial rewards that are now awaiting those teams. So yeah, when the game that we've all grown up loving turns into all the focus is on the financial rewards, that it makes those things a little bit less special.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really? Do you think, Butch?
Yeah, very much so. Do the winners of the cup go into Europe? They must do, mustn't they? What was that? What cup is that? Some ridiculous cup.
Now, aren't
They're not champions, but Champions League, is that the one? No, they don't. Where do they go into? What? Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of teams get into Europe. I mean, there wasn't many spaces available for us. Obviously, Cup Winners' Cup, when you win it, was great, and we had a good run the next year. But it just takes away the gloss, the sort of thing when you have it going all the way down, doesn't it? But that's the success of the Premier League, I suppose, and it gets teams into Europe. So yeah, well, good luck to them.
Newcastle were celebrating winning the League Cup. I mean, Liverpool were playing their third team and lost it, and Newcastle winning it. What a celebration they did. So they were getting a bit desperate, I think, to win it. But I mean, as you say, the FA Cup is definitely not what it used to be. But you can see that teams now are beginning to come back again. I think 4 or 5 years ago, there were a lot of teams wouldn't have played a full team. But I think this season and the season before, they're beginning to realise with the European competitions, it is coming back. But I don't think it's going to come back to where it used to be.
Because you had TV camera crews following you all over the place, didn't you? On the bus and in the hotel and all sorts of things the night before, all over.
We had John Motson, didn't we? Mr. Motson was everywhere on the Saturday morning around the hotel. In 78, and John was a great fella. He was a big Ipswich supporter, lovely man.
I think he was looking for a bar rustle, to be honest.
But he found one with Mr. John, that's for sure.
He did like a beer, John Motson, very much so.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Well, he was at home with our directors then, wasn't he?
So who do we think this weekend then? Palace or City? Palace, says the capacity crowd. Walkie?
City.
George?
Go City.
Terry?
City.
Russell?
City.
Roger?
City.
Chambo?
See.
Not daft.
It'll be a decent game, won't it? It'll be a decent game of football, hopefully, fingers crossed. But someone was talking to me earlier on about this. I think it was, I can't remember who was talking about it earlier on, but saying that Sported now having the semi-finals at Wembley. Do you think that's the case, Butch?
Yeah.
Russ, yeah?
No. I still think neutral grounds. I wouldn't play it at Villa Park because I hate that pitch anyway. And I hate Villa and I hate the FA Cup semi-final there all those years ago.
That don't sound like you, to be fair.
Yeah. Sorry?
Nothing, mate, it's fine.
No. Good job, you're further away. I'll tell you now. No, but I think it was better. I think it was nicer, and it was better for the fans as well because it was more local than just coming all the way down to Wembley. So, but it is nice to get to Wembley. I think for the supporters as well, you're going to watch your team play at Wembley. Some clubs don't have that before, so yeah, I think it's good in that respect. But no, I much prefer the neutral grounds, the Man Cities as it used to be, and Villa Parks and all that, Arsenal's.
Good thing about Wembley, George, is a promotion at Wembley. We all remember that, don't we, in 2000, everybody? It's the richest game in football. A couple of big teams hoping to get into the Premier League through Wembley. If you could guarantee going up through Wembley, George, or first or second, what would you go for?
Go for either, wouldn't you? We had, as we know, we had 4 playoffs, and to get to the Wembley was a great atmosphere, and it was a build up year after year, and that get more and more intense. And who can remember the semi-final, and at Portman Road when Jim Magilton scored a hat-trick? I mean, that's one of the most memorable games for a lot of fans, and getting to Wembley, it was such a great occasion, and even the Barnsley fans, played a big part as well. It was a bit of a seesaw game. And eventually to get to back into the Premiership, it was fantastic. And it's one of these things that you never forget these memories. You might forget a lot of things, but those certain memories stick in your mind. And I'm sure for the fans, that semi-final and the final at Wembley, that will never go away from your memory.
Well, it was fascinating going down on the train, on the James Easter Express train. The Mayor of Ipswich was celebrating on the way back, dear Donny Edwards, the late Donny Edwards. So I walked up to him when I was at Radio Suffolk and said, "Would you like to have a word, Mr. Mayor? You're live on the radio." And I won't swear, but he certainly did. Quite fruitily, because everybody was very, very happy, and he certainly was. Obviously, it's going to be a big game, the playoff final, but we'll see what happens with that.
Well, there's only one guarantee if you win the playoff final, is that you're going to come straight back down again. So, with a lot more cash, so that'll certainly help.
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot on the show, haven't we, about the teams coming up, going straight back down again. What are your thoughts on that, Walkie? The teams that get promoted to the Premier League coming straight back down again?
It seems a habit at the moment, but it's just the Premier League is the hardest league in the world, in my opinion. And for these teams to stay in there, it's so difficult. We've found it out. We've not won many games for a long time, and that seems it happens when you come up from the Championship. So I just think you've got to have a proper team to stay up.
I mean, George, how did you do it? I mean, you got up and then you finished 5th.
Well, I don't know how we did it, but we did. And I think that 5th position, I don't think another team's going to beat it. But I mean, I've seen a lot of Championship games this season, and you can't compare it. There is a big difference, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I mean, Ipswich, we've brought players in, spent money, and we're still a bit short. But I think you've got to look maybe, your longer term. We've brought players in this season, and a lot of good young players who will get better. We've got a terrific manager who does improve players. So next season, I don't think, it's never going to be easy, but I think we'll come straight back up, learn our lesson a little bit, and hopefully this time give it, a better go, because the golf's getting bigger and bigger. And to try and buy Premiership players, it's almost impossible. And we did try to get that, but we did get some very good young players who will get better. So I think you've got to look at the next season, because as Terry is saying, it's virtually impossible now, because if you're a betting man, you think, well, who's going to get relegated? you wouldn't bet against the three to go up, to be honest, because there's such a big divine line, and the difference of quality is staggering, really.
But you're confident we can bounce back?
Definitely.
Okay. Chamber, you confident we can bounce back?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the signings George mentioned, they were signings for the longer term, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend 50, 60 million pounds now on a middle of the road Premier League player. And I think the way they've gone about it, yes, there's been disappointment, but again, I think the club's two years ahead of the plan of being in that Premier League. So I think it makes them stronger financially. Yes, the pressure will be on, but we're now a big fish in that pond. And it's something that the club have wanted to get back to, and they've done it really, really well. So the players that they've brought in are proven Championship players. That season in the Premier League will have improved them all, would have probably tested their mentality when everything's gone so well for them over the last 2 or 3 years. Really, over the summer, they'll have time to reflect and build on that disappointment that I think they've had to really hit that ground running. I don't think they'll do anything like Luton, where I think some of their players felt they were Premier League players, shouldn't be playing in the Championship. I think they'll have that mindset again with the core of that squad, and obviously as long as we keep Kieran, I don't see anything other than us challenging right at the top of the league again.
Well, and we'll also be a big target as well for the clubs then in the Championship, coming down and the big boys sort of thing with the money that they get and all this sort of thing. So you'll be a target. I don't think it will be easy to start with. You've got to try and adapt to the pace of the game and adapt to the opponents you're against. But they are better players than a lot of the Championship players, and the team is better. But you've got to prove that, and they've got to roll their sleeves up and get stuck in and try and be as ruthless as they can and as they were. Because when they come up from the League One, they were very much an unknown quantity. But they do so much work on analysis and all these kind of things as well. So, but I think normally you sort of struggle to get used to the pace, and then bang, you after Christmas especially, that's when you get onto good runs, and we've got to get on a good run again like we did before.
The only thing I would say in response to, yes, we'll be one of the favourites, but you've got to look at Birmingham, you've got to look at Wrexham. They're coming up with real strong spending power, real good momentum. They won the league at Cantor, Birmingham, so they're going to be throwing loads of money at it. You look at Leicester coming down, Southampton. So I think this season, the Championship, there's been a real divide from those top three sides. Both of the top two getting over 100 points is incredible, but the middle of that table has been pretty mediocre. So I think with those boys coming up, the ones coming down, it's going to be a tough ask, but I've got no doubt that we'll be right up there.
You know what I'm looking forward to? No VAR. God, that's been testing this year, hasn't it? That really does great.
And we can actually cheer when we score a goal, knowing we've scored a goal. It's lovely, isn't it?
Roger, do you think we'll bounce back?
Yeah, well, obviously, the players they've brought in were some of the better players from other Championship teams. So they've more or less been cherry-picked as players who you would think in the future would turn out to be really good players. And the fact is, they're all of a decent age as well. They're not 30-year-old players who are not going to improve. And I think because the manager has really worked wonders with the players that he's brought in, you would like to think the same thing would happen. Really, I think if you go up into the Premiership, you've got to survive the first 2 seasons at least, simply because you would then have the money to actually start buying players which you want. But you can't do it over 1 season, because if you find yourself back in the Championship, you ended up with people on massive wages, and the club would be in big trouble. So, there is a way of doing it, but it's very difficult.
And Walkie, what do you think?
I'm trying to think. It's just so difficult. Any level, the highest level you go, you know what I mean? And it showed that this season, and I just think we're good enough with the players we've got to come straight back up. Because I think we've got decent players, and I know some people we're going to lose a few. I think Delap's going to go for a few, Bob, and a few other players will. But I still think we've got good enough players to bring us straight back up.
Do you think we'll do it though if we keep conceding 2 goals a game, like we did this season, like we did last season? something's got to be a little bit tighter. Hasn't
Yeah,
it?
but the strikers in the Championship are not as good as the
Yeah,
Premiership
yeah.
ones.
I know, but you
I can tell you that for a fact.
No, but it was that in the Championship as well, wasn't
yeah, it was 2 goals a game in the Championship. You know, and we're saying we can score 3 goals in the Championship to win 3-2, 4-2, whatever.
We'll take that though, won't we?
You take
After
it,
this
but
year?
how often are you going to do it? You know. Oh, I just like this. Just get a little bit tighter there.
I'd agree, yeah, we need to do that, 100%.
Yeah, there's nothing like getting a bit tighter, is there?
You should know about that, Chris.
Why do you look at Walkie when you say
I don't mean it the money way, Walkie, but you obviously do. But there you are.
I'm excited to see them get their way of playing back. I think we've gone to a stage where we're trying to get results and lost the way that has brought the team success over the last couple of years. Yes, you have to adapt and adjust that playing style or a way of winning games. So I'm excited to see Kieran get hold of that group of players and really get them playing the way he wants them to play to get us results really, really quickly come the start of the season.
Okay. Just a quick word about the Brentford game. Butch, what did you make of that? Anybody stand out for you?
No, because I didn't see it. I was away.
Thank you. Russell?
Just before kick-off, I turned to the colleague sat next to me and I said, we're in for a rough day today because the referee is a right prima donna.
Correct,
And
yeah.
what a tart he turned out to be. Oh my.
Was that his name, Tart?
It was bloody awful, it was. You know, we had all the palaver over the first goal. You know, it's a corner, it's a penalty shout, it's another corner, it's another corner. You know, and it's just a wrestling match. Every corner is a wrestling match at the moment, and why they don't sort that out, you know, I don't know, but that's not up to me anymore. And it was disappointing that we didn't get anything out of the game because I think we could have done on the day. You know, it's one of those things at home, you're just waiting for 1 or 2 little decisions to go in favour of you just to get everybody going. The crowd, by the way, were absolutely magnificent on the day. They were singing the hearts out, it was loud, and you know, there's a lot of abuse for the referee, but they really enjoyed giving him some stick, and he deserved every bit of it.
I did catch one clip, and that was when, was it Greaves brought down a player in the box? And I thought I'd tuned into a rugby match, to be honest.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Well, there is at every corner, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's ridiculous now as defenders, how you can even. But it's not so much the defenders as well, the strikers. If you're designated to mark somebody, then it's 1v1. So you don't hold players, you don't pull jerseys. That's what we were told. But nowadays, anything goes. And I think the referees then have a problem because it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So
Yeah.
they've got to make decisions and they've got to be tougher. There's no doubt about that.
Well, the striker can foul the defender because all he's going to do is give away a free kick if he gets caught. If the defender does the same and the referee sees him, it's a penalty. He can't do that. So, you know, the defensive side of it, you want to hide into nothing really, but it's just an absolute shambles. Every corner, the referee goes in and has a little lecture to all the players, and you know, sure enough, they're all at it again, and he doesn't do anything anyway.
Chambo, did you like a good grapple, or what do they call it, a grapple? Did you like that?
Yeah, I loved it, yeah.
No, I meant when you're playing. That was what I meant. You're playing.
Playing football, yeah?
Well, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever you want.
It's tough because teams will work blocks and you're fearing that you're looking at your man and the next thing you know, you're about to start running, he starts running and you just hit someone. They just turn round, don't even look at the ball, wallop. You cannot get, and then you'll have the manager screaming and shouting at you, you've lost your man. Well, just got rugby tackled. The referees don't stop that or give that, but again, it's use of the laws. So I tried to grab as much skin as physically possible to not allow them to actually run off.
Because I was playing in Tunisia. I was playing for England, a friendly in Tunisia, and this guy man-marked me. He man-marked me, and he wasn't. The goal was there, and he was just watching me, and he put his arms out like this. So I had a little, like a cage. I couldn't move. So Gaza was on the ball, sort of thing, for the free kick, and I was in the penalty area, and I said to the guy, no, because I spoke fluent Tunisian. And I said to him, look, mate, I says, if you do that and continue to do that, I'm going to smack you.
in Tunisian.
And he understood it, to be honest. He understood what I said. Because the next minute I looked at Gazza and nodded. Gazza put the ball in, and I just got my head down and ran. And I just nearly broke his cheekbone. It was brilliant. I got a yellow card for it, but I was quite happy with the yellow card, because that's normally a red card, so yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get the opportunity to try that. I think I'd have been banned for 6 months if that had happened, mate, when I was playing.
Well, I would have took the punishment.
Yeah, sure.
That's one of the best things ever, hitting someone's cheekbone with your head. It's brilliant. If anybody wants to experience that, then meet me and we'll go in the car park. It's lovely.
Shall we have a look and see who is this week's Life's a Pitch TV Player of the Week, sponsored by the Dove in Ipswich, who are here tonight. Where the Dove? So well, let's find out first of all who saw the game at the weekend. Who saw the game? Chamber, did you see the game? What? Did you see the game at the weekend?
No, I was working, sorry.
Okay. Roger, did you see it?
I did, yes.
Okay. Walkie?
Yes, I saw
George?
it,
Yeah, I was there.
Terry didn't. Russell?
Yep.
Okay, so Roger, do you want to start? Who's the player who stood out for you, Player of the Week?
That's so very, very difficult, really. I mean, pass.
Okay, Walkie?
Oh my God! I think I had a chance. I'd go with the goalkeeper.
Okay, Palmer, George?
I'll go for Hutchison. I think we've missed him a lot this season, and what I like to see a bit more crossing the ball, and he put on 2 great crosses, and we could have scored 2 good goals from a simple coming inside with his left foot. He's very dangerous. He's hard to stop, and I feel that this season, you know, when he's not been in the team, we've missed him. And he put on 2 great crosses, which should have been 2 goals. So I'll go for him.
Okay, Russell?
Jacob Greaves. I thought from the first moment of the game all the way through to the last kick of the game, I thought he was magnificent. And he's not a left back, and he got up and down there, and he was still going up and down that flank in the 94th, 95th minute, trying to get on the end of crosses, putting himself in there. He got, what did he get, overhead kicked in the face or something like that once, and he got poleaxed again when he blocked his shot, hit him on the head. I thought he had an outstanding game.
Okay, so Roger, do you want to pick up on any of those 3?
I think I agree with George, really. I mean, and I think we've had a bit of a problem this year where we haven't, when Hutchinson's played, why we haven't tried to get him in the game more. I mean, we seem to want to play off the lap a lot, but he's so far away from his midfield players anyway, so if he could get the ball down, it's very difficult to build off him. But I didn't know whether we could actually try and build from Hutchinson rather than the lap. But,
okay, but he would be your man of the match out of...
He would, yeah.
Okay, Amari Hutchinson, everybody, our Player of the Week. Thank you, the Dove. Just got to mention as well, well done on the book nomination, George. The book is fantastic. Where's Neil Prentice? Where are you, Neil? Neil's the guy that put together George Burley's book, everybody, nominated for an award. Fantastic, brilliant. And a quick little plug, because the John Walk era book is well and truly in production now. So look out for that. When's it going to be out, Neil? Christmas time, October sort of thing? October.
Is that the first, second or third era?
73 to 96.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's quite a thick book, Walkie, isn't it? Do you enjoy putting that together?
It was great.
Yeah?
It was great. And a top man, and it looks as if it's a decent book, and hopefully it does as well, same as George's. But
what's your favourite story in there?
I've got quite a lot, I think.
We've got all night.
I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to talk about football or my movie career?
What you do? We always like hearing the movie career bit, don't we, everybody? Tell us about your movie career, Walkie. The speaking part.
You know the movie was Escape to Victory? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I was in it with Russell. You know, me, Russell, Callie, You know, there's about 5 of us, weren't there? 5 or 6 of us.
Robin Turner.
Robin Turner and
The bloke sat
Laurie
next to you.
Seville.
Yeah.
Laurie Seville.
The bloke next to you.
Yes. What? Oh yeah. Sorry. And the beat.
Pete.
So we had a ball, didn't we?
Yeah. Great film, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great. We went there thinking, what's going on, and you know, we go to Budapest, Hungary, and we see all these famous people. You know, Pelé, Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone, you know, and Ozzy Ardiles. Sylvester Stallone was a bit of a knobhead, so I thought I would say what that's like, you know. And as I say, when we get out there, you know, it was brilliant. And one of the best stories was, you know, so Bobby agreed our fee, which was good at the time. But once we got out there, we asked a few of the people, you know, what sort of money they were on. And they were on a lot more money than us, and they were on royalties. So I thought, I'm going to go and ask the main producer to try and see if we can get some royalties. So I go and speak to him in his hotel. I says, I'm speaking on behalf of Ipswich Town. I think we should get more money or royalties, or we're seriously thinking of leaving. And his exact words were, F off. So I had to, as I say, I had to go back to the lads and say we're staying, you know that. But because you imagine if we did get royalties, because it's on every Christmas, isn't it?
It's on every week on ITV4, isn't it? Yeah.
For the last years, and it was, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I had, as everybody knows, I had 2 lines in the movie, and they were, I'll take the top bunk, and the other one was better than playing for Manchester. That was quite good, you know. And it wasn't till after the movie I went to the premiere I was with Alan Brazil and Gatesy, and we're watching it in the Gaumont it was. And I says, this is my bit where I speak. So the 2 lines, and it comes up, and I go, that's not my voice. I says, that's a posh Scottish accent. So I had 2 lines in the movie, and I was dubbed. So that's my claim to fame.
Brilliant.
But
Fantastic.
we had a great 5 weeks, didn't we? We had a great
brilliant.
time.
Great fun.
I mean, great film, and it's on, as you say, so often. Did you get royalties, Russ?
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Did
Can't
you?
say. Yeah, there was a bit of a deal somewhere down the line.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a fantastic book that's coming out in October, which is brilliant. Right, it's time for Butcher's favourite bit, Ask the Legends, sponsored by Seckford Golf Club. So, can we get Simon and Tony, to come up here from Seckford? They are our question masters during the course of the season. So, if you watch regularly, you'll know that Russell at the moment is on 17.5 points, and Terry is on 14.5 points. Come through here, boys. Come around here. And we have an opportunity for Terry to close the gap tonight. It's a big gap. Simon.
Thank you, Mark. Evening, everybody. You ready, Terry? You love this bit, don't you? So, since turning professional in 1936, Ipswich Town have had 19 permanent managers. Mick O'Brien was the first, and of course, Kieran McKenna, our current manager. Happy birthday, Kieran. But what number manager was Mr. George Burley? So since turning professional in 1936, Ipswich have had 19 permanent managers. Mick O'Brien the first, Kieran our current. But what number was George Burley?
Okay, Terry and Russell having a think. You can shout out capacity crowd, and you can help or hinder if you want. So any thoughts on what number George would be in our permanent Ipswich Town manager list? 12, 13, 14? There's some fingers going up.
There's a few 2 fingers going up as well.
So Terry has an answer, I do believe. Okay. Russell has, yes, got an answer. Terry, have you got one?
I have, but you always come to me, though. That's the thing, first.
Well, no, I can go to Russell first.
Yes, you do that, yeah.
Because it's going to be the nearest.
Yeah.
So, or spot on.
Yeah.
So if you've both got an answer, Russell, what have you come up with?
I've come up with 12.
Okay. A ripple of applause on that. Yeah. Terry, what have you come up with?
Small ripple.
42. No. 11.
11. Another little ripple. George, do you know? Walkie, what would you guess?
10.
10. Roger?
10.
10. Chambo?
No idea.
The correct answer is 10. Terry.
Was that for 3 points?
That means it's a point to Terry Butcher.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Tony.
Well done, Butch. Well done.
I must say, it's nice to see Simon out, because I just thought he just did quizzes at night and studied for them all the time and never went anywhere. So it's nice to see him. Is it nice to get out? It is lovely. Yeah, lovely.
Well, you have slightly closed the gap, Terry.
Yep.
But I'm afraid in the next show we will find out who is the Ask the Legend champion, and he might just be sitting next to you. But we're going to do that next time. Not George. Now, the other thing we always do is our table football challenge, sponsored by Fred Olsen Logistics. Where are you, Fred Olsen? Now, as you have cunningly noticed, there is no table football table in here because we're all very old and it's too heavy to lift. But what we do have is a presentation later on in our next show, because we started doing the table football challenge at the beginning of this season, and all of our legends, I think, George, you've had a go, haven't you? Walkie, Roger. We've also got Matt here, we've got Jason, we've got Milts. They've all had a go at this. Someone had a go on the very first game of the season. Luke Chambers. Give us a fist pump. Come on, give us a fist pump. Come on, you can do that, crowd. Come on, encourage him, because he won 5 goals. Come on. Come on. There's a prize for you, next week's show.
Brilliant.
Yes, don't get too excited.
I think I might be busy next week.
Well done, congratulations. Winning our competition there for the table football. Right, it's time for On This Day in History, also sponsored by Fred Olsen Logistics. Here's Russell.
Right, we've got some good stuff to pick from on this day in history. I'm actually going to start on Wednesday, the 13th of May, 1981. Town lost only their second league game at Portman Road that season, as they lost out to Southampton 3-2. Only a week before, they would travel to Holland for the UEFA Cup final, second leg. A strong team went down despite strikes from Johnny Walk and Alan Brazil. That was against Southampton. Also, Saturday the 13th of May, 1989. Somebody that's on stage here, John Walk's brace in a 2-0 home win over Blackburn Rovers meant Ipswich Town finished 8th in Division 2, ending with 5 straight wins. Moving on to the 14th of May, 1987. Town's first playoff appearance ended 0-0 at home to Charlton Athletic at Pullman Road. The Blues finished 5th in Division 2, while the Londoners were placed 19th in Division 1. Also, Sunday the 14th of May, 2000. A record of just 1 win in 8 playoff games was ignored as a tidy Blues performance, crowned by 2 marvellous goals from Marcus Stewart, saw them claim a creditable 2-2 draw against Bolton Wanderers at the Reebok Stadium in the semi-final first leg. And that's all that's happened on this day in history.
Fantastic stuff. George, you touched on that semi-final against Bolton with Jim's hat-trick. I mean, those 2 games, for an awful lot of Town fans, you know, we've had some fantastic times over the years, but actually for a lot of Town fans, those 2 games in that semi-final were amongst the best that they'd ever seen. What do you make of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're a fan, you go to a lot of games and you go a lot of years, but certain games stick out. And, you know, when you look at the build-up. We talked about the 3 playoffs where we missed out, then get to the 4th, then get to a semi-final at home and a night game. You know, Marcus Stewart scored 2 great goals away from home at Bolton. So it was even balanced, that game. And I think we went down early on that match, but then Jim came in with a hat-trick and get into extra time. I think that really sticks in your mind because it was a special game. It was so important. It was a long build-up to try and get to a final of the playoffs, which we did. So that would be one that would certainly stick in any fan's mind. You can't remember the goals. I can remember all the sending-offs, and I don't think Sam Allardyce spoke to us that day. But when I look it back, they were sending offs. They were definitely sending offs. So that was a very historic game, which with so much importance out it. Yeah, as the one in Wembley.
What would be your all-time favourite Ipswich Town performance as manager or player? I'm going to ask everybody this question.
I think I've got to go for the cup final. Because that was another one. We were in Europe from 72 to 82. We didn't manage to win the league. We didn't have the squad probably that they got as we finished, second and thirds and whatever. But I think the FA Cup was special for the fans, the town. That is something. I think most people had all their families there. I think my mum was there. I was walking up the steps and she actually grabbed me back. It took me about 5 minutes to get to the top. So that would be special. It was great as a manager, but being in that time with the team we had and the way the football went in the town, it was really the energy that came was fantastic. So I would go for Rodgers' winning goal in the cup final.
Brilliant. Chambo.
Come on.
Roger.
Don't ask me, mate. He's won European Cups and FA Cups.
Yeah, but
we won at Brentford away.
Yeah,
Do you know
but
what I mean? Let's move.
Look at the performances that you had. The number of them.
Yeah, some good games, mostly bad. Let's move on.
All right, Roger. What would be your favourite?
It's quite difficult, really. You've got to remember, in those days we only worked on a squad of about 16, 18 players. So, so everybody, we were such a close-knit team, really. And, people tend to forget a week before the cup final was a right shambles. And we went to Villa and Bobby changed the team. And bearing in mind that I've got a huge family and I've got tickets and I've got family coming up from Cornwall and Devon. And at 2:00 at Villa Park, Bobby Robson read out the team and I wasn't in it, which shocked all the players, really. I mean, not because, like Colin Viljoen was coming back into the team. Colin was an excellent player, but what Bobby was doing, he wasn't only changing the players, he was changing the system of how we played, and he was going to move Walkie and he's going to move Brian Talbot just to accommodate Colin in the middle of the pitch. And it's the only game I played football for 20 years, and that's the only game where I can honestly say that players didn't give 100%. And obviously with the way the game went and we lost, it was 6-1 or 6-0? 6-1. And it just became, a farce, really. And so as I come off the pitch, Bobby, obviously, there was a bit of a row in the change room afterwards. But I was never ever told that I was playing in the cup final. But obviously, with the work we done on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that was obvious. I was playing, and so you can imagine. Like, for 10 years, Bobby Robson was trying to coach me to kick with my left foot. And I can honestly say I'd probably done it a few times, but the fact is I scored a goal with my left foot was quite ridiculous, really. And like George said, it was special simply because in those days the FA Cup was special. I mean, as a 5-year-old boy, you would watch the cup final and you would watch it every year. And the fact is, like George said about the excitement in the town, I mean, and like people say, like now it's not so important, but if you ask the Crystal Palace supporter how they're feeling about the cup final, I bet they're feeling pretty special. But like, I go to one or two things and I do a little talk and that, but the fact is, if I hadn't scored that goal, if people were going to name the 78 cup final, you've got to bear in mind that when all the internationals were on, I think that only left me and Paul Cooper behind, which was crazy because, like, George and Mork, you go off to Scotland and Alan would go off to Northern Ireland, and so it was a little bit ironic that I scored the goal, but just crazy.
Well, we're so glad you did, aren't we? With his left foot, amazing. Walkie, what would yours be? Is it in the book, your favourite moment? What would your favourite moment be for Town?
It's got to say, 81 was my best ever season, and it could have been any of their games, in my opinion, but I've got to go back to the FA Cup final, and I've got to say a lot about, Roger scores the goal and he deserves everything he gets, and he was picked in the team for a reason, in my opinion, and he scores the winning goal, and I'll never forget that game. It's the best game, I've ever played in, and it's, as I say, we deserve to win quite comfortably.
Fantastic, brilliant. Thank you, Walkie. Butch, what would it be for you?
It's not winning the UEFA Cup for me. It was St Etienne away. I think that was the one, particularly with the pitch being like a cow pasture. It was awful pitch, and just playing a very, very good side. Platini, Larios, all these Johnny Rep, and all these players. It was the best performance I think that I've seen from Ipswich Town team, except from the 78 Cup final, and I think it just showed, sort of embodied the spirit of the team. To go a goal down so early in this particular match as well was a blow, but it didn't seem to be a blow. It was just a case of, right, we better get started, lads, and we did, and we went about them and we pushed them back, and we just not totally dominated the game, but everything that we talked about and trained for and everything just came good on the night. It was a special occasion, and what was even more special was the flight home, and then the bus ride back from Southend Airport to Ipswich, and then going into Russell, sitting in Russell's garden, and his father bringing us food and a case of Holstein. So it was absolutely brilliant. I can't remember much afterwards, but it was great.
Fantastic memories. Russell, what about you?
Mine is the UEFA Cup semi-final.
Oh.
Cologne away. Because that was a tight game. And I can't remember who scored that night.
No, I can't remember either.
No. Somebody popped up with a little goal.
Well, it must have been good, I'll tell you. It must have been good.
Must have been good. But it was, they were a good side as well. Yeah, good goalkeeper, Tony Woodcock up front as well. Litbarski. They had a very, very strong side. And as it was late on in the season now, so we're talking, where was the end of April? Towards the end of April. We got a few injuries to the squad. I think people like Kevin Steggles, either on the bench or started. Steve McCall was playing. And those two lads really do deserve a lot of praise because they're sort of unsung heroes. And it wasn't like today where you're on the bench and you might get 20 minutes every other game, to keep yourself ticking over with what the first team are doing. These lads basically, we're playing the combination 1 minute, combination league, the reserve league, and suddenly they get hooked off to go and play and represent the club at UEFA Cup semi-final in Cologne, the quarter-final at Saint-Etienne, and the same in the final in Amsterdam. And those boys really don't get the recognition that they deserve.
But we had good preparation for the game as well, because we lost to the scum up the road on the Monday. Travelled out, and Bobby Robson said the training program for Tuesday was to go to a fun fair and a roller coaster. When we Waugie, we were on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So we played Saturday, played Monday,
played Wednesday,
playing Wednesday, and then playing the following Saturday.
played the Saturday. 4 games.
Friday.
It was. We didn't do any training. We just rested and played. But no, it was great to get to a final, and having lost the semi-final as well, it was hard, very, very hard FA Cup semi-final. But then to get to the UEFA Cup final was special, because you cleared that sort of hurdle. It was a sort of real big barrier for us, but we got there, didn't we? And it was just magnificent.
You just talk us through your goal. Was it from a free kick?
Yeah, it was Millsy crossed the ball.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that amazes me.
No, I know, yeah.
Was he trying to pick you out?
I know, but he hit it about that high as well. He must have thought I was smaller than I am, but so I had to stoop. And
you nipped in front. You used your pace to nip in front of your mark.
No, I didn't move at all. It just came straight to me, which was a bigger shock from Millsy, because he couldn't pass water, Millsy. But I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking.
Oh,
he was
Millsy.
no. And then Schumacher in goal must have been, I put it in the
Stunned,
spot
wasn't he?
that he
Stunned.
couldn't, that he didn't read it very well, but he was absolutely amazed. I got a header on target, and Millsy found me with a free kick. So yeah, it was great, and we shove it up them. And all the squaddies were there as well. A lot of squaddies came along to the game and made a good atmosphere. And if we'd lost, then I think their fighting prowess would have come in handy afterwards. But we didn't. We beat the buggers.
Oh.
Sorry. I think that's my first swear word of the programme for 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, but we beat the bastards, yeah.
Fantastic memories. Give them all a big round of applause, everybody. Brilliant. We've just got the Man v Fat results in for this week. Our 11-a-side team, says Man v Fat Mark, were in good form on Sunday, winning a tournament at Inspire Ipswich, which included teams from Colchester, Boston and Norwich, who I'm very pleased to say were comfortably beaten. The guys also fared well on the scales this week with a 10-kilogram group loss, and individual honours go to Jose Simos, who hit his 15% loss. This week's results: Ipswich Town 11, Kebabadine 10, RB Liposuction 8, OB City 9, Athletic Gingivitis 18, the Sweaty Blue Tits 12.
Oh, no!
And 2 new teams, Fatsalona 9, Rotundaland 3. There are the Man v Fat results. Well, that's it for this week's show. Thank you very much to our wonderful legends, our regular legends, and our special guest legends today. Give them all a big round of applause. Russell Osman, Terry Butcher, George Burley, Johnny Walk, Roger Osborne, and Luke Chambers. Thank you, Capacity Crowd. That's it for this week's show. We'll be back next week with our end-of-season bash awards due. So don't miss that out at all. You might see a similar crowd here in the audience. But for now, I'll leave you with 2 words, everybody. And join in, everybody. Blue Army!
This has been a Life's a Pitch TV production. Main sponsor, DPS Tech. Also supported by Lakens, All About Hearing, Forward Floors, Ginger Pickle, Fred Olsen Logistics, The Dove, Seckford Golf Club, Ashford Wright, John Keeble Cars, Venue 16, The Hudson Group, Come Hither Design, Sound 4 Pro Audio, and Suffolk Sound. Our charities this year: Cancer Support Suffolk and the Ipswich Town Community Foundation.